everyone. We are going to go to our Zoom feed where standing by we have the Rev Tax Director, Dafne Shimizu. Good morning, Dafne, and thanks for joining us on Zoom.
Good morning.
Morning. How are you, Chris? How are you, Sabrina?
I'm doing good. How about you?
We're doing okay. Hey, congratulations on your show.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you so much, Dafne.
Chris wants some more.
I was giving you a little time if there's anything else you want to say.
I'm not used to this format, so I like to say somebody told me I had a face for radio.
Oh no,
they lied.
But not this type of radio.
You're a hottie.
Yeah, it's definitely a pleasure to have you on. I know when we get you on, ratings just like up. Yep. So we'll go ahead and give you the floor, Daph. And again, thanks for joining us on the Zoom. And she is live from DRT in Barragata Heights. We haven't spoken in a while, and I know there's a lot that has been happening with your department. So we'll go ahead and give you the floor. And if you could, just give us the latest with the Department of Revenue and Taxation.
Absolutely. So, since we last talked, I think that was late or like 3 or 4 weeks ago, maybe. So since we last talked, we actually have processed more EIP payments. We've been working to get those out. As you know, Sabrina and Chris, we originally were approved for $134.8 million total from the IRS and the Treasury. As it turned out, we went back and we had worked our numbers, and we went and worked with IRS and Treasury, and they actually approved to give us an additional $18.62 million on top of the $131 million that we had actually already received. Wow. So the new number that we have, in terms of how much we've received from the Treasury, the new approved number at this point is $150 million. And so, and that money was already received. The additional $18.262 million was already received, I think, a few weeks ago. So we're continuing to, again, work to pay out the EIP. And, we're now at, as of last week, we paid out almost $134 million. And that is about 89% of the total funding that we received of $150 million so far.
Dafne,
and, so I think, again, we're continuing to pay. We have until the end of the year to pay. We did advise that there is a deadline for the, the EIP NF forms to be filed. And so, we've said, okay, if you qualify and to file an EIP-NF and you would like to make sure that you're paid before the end of the year, please make sure that you file those forms by October 15, 2020. Because if you don't file them, then what will end up happening is you won't be able to make that claim until you file your 2020 tax return in 2021. And so the other thing that happened was we actually launched what was called, and we basically followed the format that the IRS had, which was what they called the plus 500 push for federal benefit recipients. And that was for, of course, those Social Security, veterans, disability, and, I don't know that we have any railroad benefit recipients here on Guam, but, for the RRB, SSI, and VA benefit recipients. And so the plus 500 push is basically that if there are federal benefit recipients who wish to be paid or who need to claim an additional dependent so that they could be paid the additional $500 instead of just the $1,200 basic. If they've not already been paid because they've not already, made a claim in terms of their filed something so they could receive the EIP, then they had until July 24 to file that. We did receive information from the IRS, who of course was coordinating with Social Security Administration and the Veterans Administration. And, of course, we're working to look at that data so we can make payments to any of our veterans and Social Security recipients, recipients who had not already filed something, had not already received money. But, of course, we've been working with the IRS and also coordinating with them because we want to make sure that those individuals get paid out. And we haven't scheduled yet when that's going to be paid, but we will be doing that. As you know, there's talk about the second round of EIP, and I was actually talking with Nestor the other day about this, and there's questions about whether or not it's going to happen, when it's going to happen, what it's going to look like, what will happen with DRT, how quickly or not it's going to happen. And to be honest, it's really difficult to say. Of course, it's always been our position that we want to get payments out to our people as soon as possible. Obviously, there's going to be additional work involved in getting the additional payments out, but we're excited to have the opportunity to get this additional money so we can get it out to our people. Of course, the first round, and we're up to $134 million now that's already been distributed to the community. So, we're looking forward to, again, being able to, serve our community by making sure we get these monies out. So, we're just as we're in the same position as everybody else, where we're basically just monitoring what's happening on the national news. So we don't have any real information on what's going to happen, when it'll happen.
Right.
But as soon as we do get that information, we'll share that with you guys. And of course, we'll make sure that our people know, so that they, if there's anything that needs to be filed, or, what other information they need to know, we'll get that out. Of course, in the last time that we went through, when we went through the first round, we had to go through an implementation plan, negotiations and discussions. And then, we did issue an FAQ shortly after the implementation plan was passed. And, of course, we're expecting and hoping that there won't be much of a delay. Even on the domestic IRS implementation side, there's of course talk that, the monies will be, gotten out quickly. And that's always been our desire. And of course, it was always the desire of our Congress and our president to make sure that those monies get out quickly. And we're going to be consistent with that. And so there was that plus 500 push, again, on the EIP side. If you don't mind, I could talk a little.
Sorry. Just back to the EIP. So we do get these comments once in a while from people who just haven't received their stimulus check for the economic impact payments. What would you say to those people? Are they just at the bottom? Do they have the documents? What could be the reason that they haven't gotten it yet?
Well, so, if you haven't received it, but you think that you should have, the first thing that you can do is get onto our web portal, and you can go to myguamtax.com and you can register there, and you can check to see whether or not there has been a payment processed. And I really encourage people to do that, because once you log in, enter information, you're able to enter certain information, you're able to find out if there actually has been a check cut. Now, if there has, whether there has or hasn't been, of course, that will kind of dictate where you go next. If you have noticed that there is a date for a check and a check number, and an address that's indicated, right? Those are the information that's provided on the portal, but you have not received your check. I suggest that, of course, you contact our office to make sure that, find out why. And we will assist you with determining that, whether it's because, what we're seeing as well, and I think this is something that we talked about before, was that I've actually, I have family members who received a letter. They received the actual letter, but they didn't receive the check. So, of course, the CARES Act not only required that, of course, we make out the payments, but that we also send out a letter to advise that the payments had been sent out. So, and then actually we realized that was a great security measure, because again, there were people who received the letter but didn't receive the check. And of course, those addresses are the same. So, where the actual check went, it's unclear, obviously. Wow. But again, the first thing is, I think that, I suggest to check the portal. If you have, if there was a check that was mailed out and you haven't gotten it, then you need to contact us. If you know that you have filed something and you haven't received a notice from Rev Tax regarding your return, then I suggest, and you haven't received the check, then I suggest that you also call, so that way, or you can email us at guameip@revtax.guam.gov, and provide just kind of provide your contact information if you need us to contact you. So that we can talk with you about, perhaps what might be the issue. We only pay on A status or clean returns, meaning that it's an error-free return. So if there is a return that has missing information, or where there might be, perhaps there may be at times, individuals who claim dependents who are claimed on multiple returns. So those types of issues will cause an error on a return. And if there's an error on a return, then the EIP will not be paid on those. So, again, number one, check the portal, myguamtax.com. You can find out right away, almost immediately, whether or not an actual payment has been made. And if it has, then, I guess that's where you go from there. If there's a payment and you have a check number and you have a date that it was mailed, and the address, then, that's all the information that you need in order to make sure that you can initiate a stop payment request. And that is something that we coordinate with DOA on, so that we can get those reissued to our people.
So then how many people have received the confirmation letter that didn't receive the actual stimulus checks?
I don't have a count on that, Sabrina. I have actually. I was talking with one of our, I guess our senior people downstairs, and she, dealt with about 3 people, I guess this past week, who had that situation. She helped them, and I've also, again, I've had family members who've had that situation, and I'm not sure why. It could be that, in some cases, maybe your husband may have picked up the mail and put it aside, and you didn't know, but you got the letter, and perhaps it got lost. It could have been lost in the mail. I know that, even for myself, and most especially, I know Tammy, the postmaster, I know that our USPS people are doing the best they can, and they're doing a great job, but they do also have a huge amount of mail that's, that they're having to get out. So I'm not sure all the process is there, but perhaps it may have been, lost somewhere in the mail, or maybe there's some delay. I don't know the reason why that would happen, but we're seeing it, and I don't have a good gauge on how many people. Again, I do know of people who have had that situation, and when that does happen, and we find that there are people who are, because people, they approach us and they advise that, I've got this letter, but I haven't got my check. Then of course, the number one thing is we advise they need to do a stop payment, and then we go from there so the check can be reissued.
Okay. All right.
Wow, just digesting that. Daph, this is kind of random, but there was a comment on our Facebook feed. Can you find out if it's true that all tax documents before 1990 are no longer available?
I'm sorry, that question.
Is there anything with any tax documents before 1990 that are not available anymore?
Oh, you know what? I'm not sure about that and how, like, in terms of somebody's tax records prior to 1990, but I could find out. Okay. I do know that we, of course, have requirements in terms of record retention. And so, and I know that, we do, like, for example, when you file a return with us, a hard copy return, we make sure that we have, we scan them so, that we have those soft copies. But I don't know about, information prior to 1990 and whether or not we actually have physical copies. I can't say.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. We also have another question. What if we filed our 2019 after we received our stimulus, but with a new dependent? Will that child be qualified for the $500? Asking for a family member.
Okay, so if you've already received, and I think that if you look at our FAQ, it talks about a time of certification. So it's validly filed and processed return at time of certification of payment. And so, if an individual or if a family, if you've had a child, or in 2019, and that child is claimed on your 2019 return, but your EIP was based on your 2018 return, what will happen is that when you file your 2020 return in 2021, you'll get that difference. So you will not get it like a second check in this year for that. The way that works is that will happen in the next year. But the opposite side of it is as well that, for example, this is a one-sided adjustment, where, for example, if you're eligible for more, you'll get more. But if, for example, say in 2019, I made, less than I made more than I made in 2018, which would have caused me to maybe have only qualified for $1,100 instead of $1,200. The opposite adjustment, meaning I won't owe the government that $100. That will not happen. So, the adjustment is where I will get that, or that family will be able to get that $500, but that will happen in their next filing in 2020. On their 2020 tax return.
Daph, now that we've really gone in on the EIP payments, can we talk a status of payments of tax refunds, and where are we at with those?
Sure. So as of this week, I believe that we are at February 1. And so, of course, we generally issue our releases on the refunds, like usually on Mondays, I think. So we'll probably have an update if by no later than Monday on where we are and what has been processed this week. But as of early this week, we've already issued or mailed out, and I guess worked with Treasurer Bond to make sure that through Feb 1 was mailed out this week. So that's where we are with refunds, and we're continuing to process. Again, that's of course important to us. We want to make sure that we get those out to our people. And again, we've been working on those.
Right. I know one of the big challenges that you guys have been facing is the demand for driver's licenses and all that stuff, and just all the services you guys provide. Have you really, Daph, at the department, have you guys turned the corner in terms of being able to provide timely service to your customers while still observing all the necessary COVID-19 safety precautions?
Okay, so we're doing our best to make sure that we comply with, of course, social distancing and making sure that we're wearing masks and things like that here, and we're making sure that also our janitorial service group is working to sanitize our office on a regular basis. Now we actually even as we opened up, we even had someone assigned to be what I guess a compliance officer, and so of course we have to have our temperatures taken when we come in the morning. We cannot enter our building without masks. We have the hand sanitizer and we have those available as well. So we do our best to make sure that we're complying with social distancing. We do have our building is about like somewhere between 40 and 50,000 square feet, including the mezzanine, which is the second floor, which we have up here in some of our storage. So, when we first were opening up back in May 18, we were contemplating, and we had done, I guess, what was called bubbling. So, throughout the country, what was happening was because they had different schedules where people would do like 14-day shifts. So you would have one group that works 14 days so that way, that's the group that I guess, in the event that there's any outbreak or exposure, it's isolated to that group. And then, the next group would come in. And that was when we were, I guess, as we were working that way, it became very difficult. And to be very frank, it was very stressful for my team because to not be, to come in after like so many weeks and not not be able to touch their work meant that there was a lot more work. So we tried to address or of course look at whether or not it was possible for us to have more of our employees here. And so we do actually, we do have our compliance officer. He actually walks the floor to make sure that people are wearing their masks and making sure that we are social distancing and that we are, complying. And we believe, of course, that we're doing our best to make sure that, our people and of course our both internally here at the office and of course our people that come in here to get services are protected. Now that we're seeing numbers like 3, 9 and kind of higher numbers. I know for a while we saw like ones and twos and sometimes zeros daily. I think the other day I saw 9, and so we recognize that there is still this potential exposure. We know that it's important that we continue to take care of our people, and we do actually have on a regular basis somebody making sure that they are kind of going out around and it's actually it's funny because of course when people see them they're like, oh my gosh, we need to make sure we're complying. But you know what, the great thing is that they do need to make sure that we do need to make sure we know we're complying and that we have somebody who's very serious about it. I'm very grateful that he's taken this on, and
Daph,
but we're doing our best.
I saw a video, I think it was on Facebook, where this reminded me of what you're talking about. Is there was a guy who had he had this thing that's like 6 feet long, and he just goes around like putting it in between people so they social distance. I don't know if your compliance guy has a 6 foot long stick that he just move back.
Yes, he kind of scares people. So when we see him, it's like, oh my gosh, put your mask on. Make sure So, right. But you know what? Again, it's because we have to. It's a change of a culture, and it's a change of a thought or the way we think, and we have to, impress upon that. And so it is somewhat humorous because it's like, oh my gosh, there's Jerome. But you know what? The fact is it's so necessary. And we recognize that, when we were operating without somebody and we were having just our supervisors and managers be the ones to manage the social distancing requirements within their areas, it was very stressful. It was stressful for them to do that in addition to just trying to make sure that they do their regular work and all the other kind of additional work that we have because of trying to operate under these circumstances. So when we had a compliance person, it just helped so much because again, there's somebody that's actually focused on it. We're actually having to work on developing a kind of having another person who's going to be assigned that because our person has been doing this for like the last 2 months, and
everybody
we need
hates
to make
him.
sure that we have more competent people in sharing in this task.
Right. Dav, one of the things we had discussed several weeks ago, one of the last things was the Idzuda Imangafa Now it's a law, the Help for Families Program Act by Senator Amanda Shelton. Do you have an update on that?
Sure. So you know what, on the Ajuda y Mangafa program, the rules and regs are required to be submitted to the legislature 30 business days after the bill became law. And I believe the bill became law on June 26th. So we have until I think Tuesday next week to submit the draft rules and regs to our legislature. So our team has been working on that. We actually have like a running draft internally. In fact, I have a meeting with some members of our team this morning to make sure that we go through that, and we're also going to go through that, kind of a bit of a legal review to make sure that before we transmit that to the legislature that happens. I've been communicating with Senator Amanda Shelton, of course, on that matter, and then just kind of again, we want to make sure we follow the law, and that's we're not going to. We're going to make sure that we follow the law, which again requires that 30 business days after it became law that we submit that to the legislature.
Okay, thank you for that update. Is there any other final comments that you wanted to make, or any other information that needs to get out from DRT?
Sure. We still have, of course, and thank you for asking about driver's license. We no longer have our Agania Shopping Center location. That location, our lease was up in June, and we were having some challenges there. I mean, with the elevators and with the air conditioning, and we believe that it was a better, that was really best for our people. Again, not just our people, our employees, but also the people that we service, our community. That we moved our team up here to Barrigada. We still we're going to be open on the next 3 Saturdays for driver's license only, and that's August 1, 8, and 15. And this weekend we're focusing on those driver's licenses which expired May 1 to 15. We're trying to focus kind of so that way we have a certain population, because there's just no way we can accommodate every single expired driver's license that exists right now. So May 1 to 15, and then again we'll continue to be advising the community as we go forward in terms of what driver's license expiration dates will be focusing on over the next couple weeks after that. We're hoping to be able to open for walk-in for a driver's license sometime soon. We're not yet there, and the reason is, and to go back to your question, Chris, on the social distancing, we really do. A driver's license and vehicle registration are our top kind of highest traffic services, and in one day we can get over 600 people in vehicle registration. So we're, at this point, driver's license is, except for 8 to 9 when we do serve our Manamco, our veterans, and our individuals with disabilities as a walk-in from 8 to 9 here at Barrigada. Outside of that, everything is by appointment only. We're going to be opening more slots in terms of appointments. So people will share that with our people as soon as that happens, and that's something we're actively working on. But of course, it's important that we get people their driver's licenses, and that we provide all the services that our people need. And we're continuing to evaluate those, and again work to get better. It's been a bit of a challenge, but I'm proud of our team. Again, we're far from perfect, but we're not scared to try something, and to I believe that we've gotten better as we've gotten along. And we thank DPW, because you will probably see in a day or so those big orange digital signage which will tell you what day we're going to be focusing on, and also be shared just so that you will see what information is out there, and as you are driving by you'll be able to see that. But Chris and Sabrina,
sorry. I wanted to ask, because I remember there was some talk, and I don't remember if it was foggy, if it was this year or late last year, about you guys moving out of the location you're currently in. Is that still a thing or no?
Well, last year we did have a lot of challenges with our building. As you know, we did have we had a fire watch for a while, because we did have I'm not sure how long, that our I guess our fire sprinkler system was having problems, and so we did have fire watch. We worked with our landlord so that way the I guess all of the deficiencies that were related to our building were able to be remedied. Ones that were quite serious, they even I guess in this past few months had worked to change out I guess even the ACs to make sure that we have, good air circulating within our building. So, we've been working on that. I believe we still have, before I came in January 2019, I think that the lease on this particular building had just been renewed toward the end of 2018, and I believe it was a 3-year lease. So I was checking with our chief administration the other day. I believe we still have about 2 years left on our lease. But in terms of, I guess, kind of a strategy, we are a large agency. I mean, we have almost 200 people that are employed with us, and we have some very high traffic services in terms of, of course, I guess, like, again, we can, out of the pandemic, I know in our vehicle registration during a busy day, we can have over 1,000 people. Wow. During this public health emergency, since we've opened, there was actually a day where we hit over 600 people, and that was only in vehicle registration. So, the idea of decentralizing some of our, I guess, is actually something that we're actually, of course, seriously contemplating. Right. And, so that's something, again, once we have, finalized and information ready, that will provide that to our community.
Thank you, Dafne. Thank you so much for your time, Dafne. I know you're really busy, so appreciate it. And we got to get you on Zoom way more.
Yeah.
I don't know about that. You know what? Again, as I said to Jason earlier, I have a face for radio, and I don't use Zoom radio. So, but thank you guys always for being so gracious and appreciate it. Have a great day, Sabrina. Have a great day, Chris.
All right. Thank you. We'll see you. Dafne Shimizu from the Department of Revenue and Taxation. Definitely.
That was a lot of information.
Man.